welcome to FAQ Fridays, where every Friday I answer your frequently asked questions. Now today we're looking at the slurry and force feeding. Now this isn't necessarily a question that comes up all the time, but it is certainly advice given out all the time in my comment section that I'm really annoyed about. So, I can't always reply to every comment because there's so many, it would literally take me all day. But that means there's a lot of room for stupid people to reply to people. And I know that might sound a little bit harsh, how do you know they're stupid? But here's an example. Someone had said to me that their gecko hadn't eaten for like a few days and it's new, what should she do? You know, and I'm pretty sure me and you listening probably say, well, that's normal, they're a new gecko, totally fine. However, before I could reply to that comment, someone had told the person to use slurry or force feed it. This is what I'm up against. Now, if we look back at the video I made on the slurry, listen to who I say it's recommended for. This can be given to your gecko if it's been off food for a few months and it's losing a lot of weight, or leopard geckos recovering from metabolic bone disease, females who've dropped too much weight during breeding season, or geckos suffering from anorexia. I wouldn't give this to your adult gecko if it's been off of food for a couple weeks, as leopard geckos can sometimes go through phases where they're not interested in food. So when people say that their gecko hasn't eaten for a few days or a few weeks, slurry is not the answer. Slurry is used in extreme cases, so it's certainly not good for just a casual thing, oh, my gecko hasn't eaten for a few days, let's give it slurry. No. The other thing about the slurry is you don't want to miss out ingredients. Don't just put in some baby food and mealworms. You know, that's not going to resolve the problem at all. Next is force feeding, and I am totally against force feeding. If you ever look up force feeding, it is something that is given as torture to people and animals. So why on earth you would do that to your pet, I do not know why. The one thing I agree with is assist feeding. Now, if you look up the definition for assist feeding, it comes up force feeding, which isn't the same, because if you look up the definition for assist, it means to help. So I do have my own technique for this, but I rarely use it because I don't really get those situations that often that need it. But basically, I can get the food in the gecko's mouth without even pulling on their jaw or anything like that. And just get the food in enough, not all the way, just like the end of, say, a cricket, just in the gecko's mouth, that they can choose whether they want to continue biting that and chew it and swallow it, or they want to spit it out. It's totally up to them. Whereas when people are force feeding it down their throat, do you know how much damage that will do to your gecko? And all down its digestive system, all down its throat, all of that. You'll do so much damage. And as I said in the last video, there are so many reasons a gecko won't eat, and it's better to work that out rather than to just force food down your gecko's throat. So I haven't done a video on my technique of assist feeding because, you know, as we've seen, I've done a video on the slurry and that falls into bad hands and they give out advice like that. So I wouldn't like people trying to assist feed a new gecko they've just got that hasn't been eaten, because it's not necessary. Your gecko just needs to settle in. So, with that in mind, we're just gonna conclude here. So the slurry is for an extreme case. The same with assist feeding, that's for extreme case. Force feeding, I'll probably never agree with, because you should figure out what's wrong with your gecko before trying to shove something down its throat, and you shouldn't do that anyway, to be honest. So that was the FAQ Fridays. I always kind of feel that I haven't answered any questions in this, but if you just see someone giving out this advice in a comment section to someone who has a gecko that hasn't eaten for a few days or a few weeks, tell them they're wrong, because I don't want this information going around and geckos being put in trouble. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.